Welcome to another video for complex numbers, our second video focusing on the quadratic formula. We know the quadratic formula is the formula used to find all solutions to a quadratic equation. Here it is here, x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2 times a. Alright, we looked at some examples in the last video. Let's recap on these quickly. So example 1, when we try and find the solutions, we type in the values of a, b and c. But this time, instead of doing it manually like we showed you in the last video, we're going to show you how you use your graphics calculator to find the two real solutions. So grab your calculator and go into the equation menu. And inside the equation menu, you'll see that there is a polynomial menu, which is F2. If you push F2, you'll go inside the polynomial menu and we can solve things. I think the more modern calculators have more than degree 2. I think they might go up to degree 6 now, but mine's only goes up to degree 2 or 3. And I want a degree 2 because the quadratic has the highest power of x squared. So let's push degree 2, I think it's F1, and you'll go into the menu where we type in the values of a, b and c. Now, a is 1, we can see that from the quadratic, b is 6, and c is negative 18. So if we punch those in and push execute to solve, we'll get the two solutions a tiny bit quicker than having to do a manual computation. All right, here's example 2. Remember this example when we worked out the values of a, b, and c, and we plugged them into the quadratic formula. Because the square root of 0 is 0, we ended up plussing 0 and minusing 0, so we end up with two repeated solutions. Well, again, let's quickly show you what I'll do on the calculator. Go into equation, go into polynomial, go into degree 2. Here we come across the values of a, b, and c, so we're going to punch in a is 1, b is 6, and c is 9, and then we're going to solve it. And it will tell us that there is two solutions which are repeated, which are negative 3 and negative 3. Right, our final example is number 3. We looked at this in the last video, the values of a, b, and c. We punched it into the quadratic formula, and we realized we could not take the square root of a negative number, which means we had to stop our problem and say there were no real solutions. Well, again, on the calculator, equations, polynomial, degree 2, punch in the values of a, b, and c, and when we solve it, our calculator should say something like, there are no real roots. Well, here are the three scenarios that we've just explored. There are three scenarios: two real roots or two real solutions, two repeated solutions or roots, or no real solutions or roots. And it all comes down to what's going inside the square root sign. This has got a funny name called a discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. And if the discriminant's positive, bigger than 0, that's scenario 1. If this discriminant comes out to be 0, that's where we get our repeated solutions. And if the discriminant comes out to be negative, that's when we can't solve the quadratic and we have no real solutions or roots. Now in a graphical world, let's explain what's going on quickly. Again, it all comes down to the discriminant, what's going inside the square root sign. So again, in scenario 1, where we had the discriminant was greater than 0, we get two real solutions or two real roots, and you can see the quadratic, which produces a graph called a parabola, has two roots, two solutions on the x-axis. If the discriminant is 0, that's the scenario where the quadratic has a repeated solution or a repeated root, and that's when the quadratic just touches the x-axis. It's a repeated solution. And our final scenario is when the discriminant is negative. We can't square root a negative number. That's when the quadratic does not touch the x-axis. It's above the x-axis, and there are no solutions that we can find in the real world. Right, well that's us for this video, so thanks so much for tuning in.